Hey everyone, I hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. Like a lot of you, I'm sure, I got quite a few book vouchers for Christmas and books for presents, which was really nice. So I've accumulated a few new reads, and I thought I would just go through the new books that I've acquired first of all, and then I might do a video afterwards because I want to keep these short, a little video about some of the secondhand books that I've acquired. But I thought for today I would just take you through a few of the newly published books that I've now got. So the first book, which I've actually already read, is William Boyd's collection of short stories, which was published in November. So I really enjoyed this. I read it quite quickly. I am a big William Boyd fan, but usually I prefer his novels where he takes a character and charts their entire life. I did really like this though, although the last two stories, which are the ones I preferred because I wrote a little bit longer, they were quite frustrating as well because they end quite abruptly, even for short stories, particularly the last book, the last story. So if you read that, let me know what you think. But yeah, I recommend that. It's very good. This book I got from my brother as a Christmas present. So it's Tales of the Peculiar by Ransom Riggs, who wrote the Miss Peregrine School for Peculiar Children books. Again, I read this really quickly. I read it in a day and really enjoyed it. So it's obviously just tales about peculiar people, sort of they're meant to be kind of like fables that the children in Miss Peregrine's school would be told about growing up. So it was really, really good, and it spurred me on to read the trilogy. So Miss Peregrine's School for Peculiar Children, Hollow City, which is the second book, and Library of Souls, which is the third book. I did get the first book a couple of years ago, but I saw the film before I read it, which I don't normally do, and because the film was too fresh in my head, I kind of put off reading it. So that inspired me to read it again, and I flew through those books. I mean, they're quite thick books, and I read each in about a day and a half maximum. Of course, it was Christmas, so I had time to read, but the writing was brilliant, and they're just really, really good books, really original, so I very much recommend those. The next book I've got with a voucher was Tom Hanks' book of short stories called Uncommon Type. I'm really looking forward to reading this. Of course, there are people who are going to say, oh, he's an actor, he's famous, how can he be able to write? It's going to be rubbish. Personally, I think they're going to be quite good, and as usual, I'm going to reserve judgment until I've actually read it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it was half price in Waterstones, and why not give Tom Hanks a chance? I think they'll be good. We will see. Another couple of books I got, Maggie O'Farrell, this was her, not her most recent one, but the one before that. This Must Be the Place. So it's about a husband and wife. The wife is a reclusive former film star living in Ireland. And basically it crosses continents and time zones, creating a portrait of an extraordinary marriage, the forces that hold it together and the pressures that drive it apart. So normally if you read the blurb, it's not really something that I would say I would normally read, but because it's Maggie O'Farrell and I adore her books, they're complete page turners, and you really always get she draws her characters really, really well, and her storytelling is brilliant. So I just know it's going to be really good. I also got one of her earlier books, My Lover's Lover, which I've got most of Maggie's books by now, but not all of them. So I added that to my collection. So another book I got is A Gentleman in Moscow, which is by Amor Towles. This sounds really good. It's about a man set in Russia, an aristocrat, and I think he's escorted out of the Kremlin, across Red Square, and into a hotel where he is basically sentenced to house arrest indefinitely. And the blurb doesn't give away why he's sentenced to house arrest. I quite like books that are set in Russia. I really enjoyed Mikhail Bulgakov's books. I've read a couple of his, and it just sounds really interesting. It's one of those books where I think, you know, he's going to be stuck in a hotel for the rest of his life. You know, what's he going to do? What's he going to think about? I'm hoping it's going to be one of those sort of philosophical books where there's lots of ideas bandied about. The reviews are really good. So yes, I will report back on that. I'm hoping it will be good. I'm going to read that soon. The next book I got is The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. Again, this is one I've seen popping up quite a lot on an online book club that I'm part of, the Ricochet Book Club. So there's been varied comments on that too, but to be honest, I don't really listen to reviews because everybody's got different types of books that they enjoy. So what one person loves, another person may not. So it sounds pretty good. So it's about a man who's adopted as a baby, who seem to be quite an eccentric couple, who treat him more like a curiosity than a son. So he basically then goes through, has a bit of a weird childhood. Then he meets this other guy called Julian Woodbead, who seems destined for a much more glamorous life than the main character. So it's basically about his journey of trying to find happiness in his life. So it sounds good. And finally, a book that I've already read, but I also got Fingers in the Sparkle Jar by Chris Packham, who I have really liked since I was a kid when I used to watch him on the Really Wild show, and I've been meaning to get this for ages. I finally got it and read it. Really enjoyed it. It's, at the beginning I thought it was a bit disjointed because it hops around a lot in time, you know, with regards to the different time periods in his life. Also those first person tense, third person tense, and also, yeah, I think for me it helped, especially when I was a bit tired, to kind of read it in how he speaks. So I watch him a lot on Spring Watch and Autumn Watch, and I kind of know how he talks, and the passion, it sort of brought it to life a bit more for me whenever I sort of imagined him speaking it. But yeah, that is really good, and I recommend that too. So I hope you enjoyed this little video about my books for January 2018, my little book haul. I'm going to do another one soon, but until then, thanks for watching, and chat soon.